Religion and science are these two, grand human endeavors, and even though I would consider myself to be an atheist, I see in science I have a response to the narratives of science, the stories science tells, the universe that science reveals, that for me, can only be described as spiritual. And so I was always interested in sort of how this science and religion debate occurs, and most particularly, I'm very exhausted by the sort of evolution versus fundamentalist creationist debates. I think there's so much more to be said about this subject than what we usually get in the media about it. So I've never seen science and culture or science and other ways of knowing as being separate, and I think it's very important for us to find new ways of talking about the two of them. Along with a number of other scientists, 4 other scientists, I've formed a blog that we have on National Public Radio, NPR. The blog is called 13.7 Cosmos and Culture, and all of us, all of the scientists in the blog, all have this view that we're trying to transcend the normal debate between science and religion, the popular debate between science and religion. And as I show in my book, is that this debate, this idea that there's a warfare between science and religion, is actually fairly recent. It's only 100 years old. Before that, the relationship was much more complex, much more nuanced. And again, I want to stress that the debate here, there's so much more to say about rather than the institutions of religion versus science. People really should have their own ways, should be free to have their own ways to think more deeply and more broadly and more multidimensionally about, what it means to have a response to the world, have an experience of the world that they might call sacred or spiritual, that goes beyond whatever creed or dogma or doctrine any particular religion says. We as a culture we teach science to people, we teach science to our students, and we hope to evoke that sense of awe, and yet we're unwilling or unable to recognize that what we're generating in these in students and in people is what is fundamentally an experience of what you would have to call the spirit or of sacredness. So for me, it's leaving that debate behind and just recognizing that the advocates of the poles of that debate will never be satisfied. And it's time for the rest of us, people who see themselves as being religious but are open to the narratives of science, and people who are deeply enmeshed in science but also understand the nuances of their own experience. The rest of us need to have a conversation and start building a different narrative around what it means, what science and spiritual endeavor mean.